I'm Chris,
And I'm Kylie. And this is Redefining Resilience,
where we explore what it means to build a resilient lifestyle
so you can thrive in any and every situation. Christopher,
Yes, ma'am.
would you say you are a resourceful person?
Yeah, 100%.
Why do you consider yourself to be resourceful?
Because I know how to look for the answer to problems.
Where do you look?
I mean, everywhere. You start at the Googler and then just work your way out. Social media is like the best avenue for resourcefulness ever.
Yeah. Especially now with AI. You can ask it any question and, I mean, it at least gives you a baseline or basic understanding of whatever you're looking for.
Yeah, there's really no reason to not have an answer for something right now, or at least a general idea of an answer.
Or know where to go to get the answer.
Yeah. So I never played around with Excel very often. And then I needed Excel to do something for me for work. And inside Google Sheets, there's a help button. You can ask that dude anything, and it will help you do it. Code for this. How do I do this with data? Whatever. And then if you can't find it on there, you can go to Google or YouTube, which is fascinating, and ask YouTube any question, and some dude will pop up or some chick will pop up and walk you through the whole thing. So you just watch it in a screen over and duplicate it. I did the same thing with my car when the serpentine belt broke. I Googled Acura TL serpentine belt replacement.
What the heck is a serpentine? Isn't that a snake?
No, that's a serpent.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's not a serpent belt. It's close. I can see how you can get those mixed up.
Okay.
And they both kind of look like snakes.
Okay.
But it's just a belt in your car.
Interesting. Okay.
But I Googled or YouTubed how to do it. And then I took the YouTube link or left it on my phone, took the video to AutoZone, showed them the picture of the things I needed, got all of it, and then watched the video on half speed and did it as the video was talking. It took me 5 minutes.
That's awesome. It just goes to show there's no reason to not have answers.
No, absolutely not.
But that's not to discount getting help, because getting help is a form of resourcefulness. But you think about, like, why build resourcefulness in the first place?
To solve problems faster, to accomplish more with less, helps you increase your ability to achieve goals, both health and professional.
Absolutely.
So is resourcefulness a skill or a talent?
Well, I think some people have more natural resourcefulness as a talent, I guess, than others, but it's a skill. We have to learn how to be resourceful.
How do you build that skill then?
I guess one example is how you organize yourself, how you organize information, which would be order, right? Finding people who are helpful. Right? If you need answers, where can you go? Who would be an expert to talk to? Also, search skills. We talked about AI and Google. Like, those are search skills. So not knowing how to Google something this day and age is not really acceptable. The internet came out decades ago. We've had so much time to figure this out. I don't know what you're waiting for. It's not going away. So if you are not developing your search skills, you're gonna have a hard time. Another thing you can do is make unusual connections.
You mean expand the people that you hang out with? Expands your ability to reason?
Yes, it expands your network, which means you now have a wider net of people who know things. If you don't go out and network, you're gonna have a harder time knowing where to turn when you hit a roadblock. And then not only do we want to expand our network, but we want to expand our knowledge. Just knowing a little bit about things and taking an interest in different subjects is going to make you more well-rounded as a human and know where information is if you need to get more in depth with it. I don't have to know tax code to know that a CPA is my first line of defense when it comes to anything with a dollar sign. Shout out to Brittany for being the best tax resource and CPA I know.
Amen.
Thank God.
So what's interesting is I know a lot of people that will kind of pigeonhole themselves into a knowledge basis. Like, I think I've learned enough, or this is important to me, so this is all I'm going to view the world through, this lens of X. And it's hard to deal with those people after a little while because it's so pigeonholed in a corner that they cannot reason through how to make decisions anymore outside of that realm. Something that is completely different than what their group has experienced will show up, because that's life and technological advances and the world's moving on. And if you're not ready for it and you've stopped learning, you're going to get ran over like by a freight train, man. It's going to come fast.
Yeah, as technology advances so much more quickly, we are going to have to keep up with the information that it's teaching us. So you have to get good at learning. There's just no way around it. The more you can learn, the more advanced you're going to be as a human.
I think the smartest people on the planet, Socrates, all the Greek big thinkers, all the way up through Jordan Peterson, I don't think I've ever heard one of them say something contrary to the more I know, the more I understand I don't know. It's like the world is so vast, the amount of knowledge that can be accumulated is unbelievable. To stop learning, what did Jordan Peterson say? To be humble means you're constantly learning.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like you've decided that I no longer need to learn anything else because I'm so fucking awesome that I know everything that needs to be known.
Which there's nobody out there who can actually say that, because there's just so much information. I mean, you'd have to be a robot for that to be true.
I mean, even then, it's constantly learning and changing because humans are constantly learning and changing.
Right. You have to start reading. You have to start taking in information. You have to start listening to podcasts like Redefining Resilience. Share it with your friends. You have to read books.
Well, it's my favorite way to think about resourcefulness is if you don't have the knowledge, you don't even know the question to ask. All I want with knowledge is to learn how to ask better questions, because I'm not going to know it all. So if I can't know it all, I want to at least know how to ask questions in a way that I learn the most.
So let's talk through some examples. Does anything come to mind when you think about organizing information?
So how do you organize your emails?
Well, I use my inbox as a running to-do list.
Okay.
So, one, I don't check my email all day long. I check it at a few regular points in my day. I don't keep it up all day long. So when I check my email, I look at it, and if it is spam, I'll either unsubscribe if there is an unsubscribe option, because I don't want to continue to clutter up my inbox with crap. So unsubscribe. Or if it's an email that's like, thank you, and it doesn't require any action, I just delete right then and there. Next thing, I have folders for just about any category of email I might receive. So like administrative things have a folder. My clients have a folder. I have receipts and finance folders and marketing and sales folders. So every major category you could think of. And so if the email or information in the email is something I might need to refer back to in the future, I will file it into the folder if I don't delete it.
How long did it take you to build that?
Not long. I've always used this method. It takes maybe like 5 minutes to set your folders up once you decide what they are. But I have the same folders in my inbox as I do in my Remarkable. So I use my Remarkable for all my note taking. And then the folders are the same for that. And I organize my notebooks in the same way. So everything is pretty consistent. And then in my file folders, like in my Google Drive, it's all the same type of format. So it's pretty consistent across the board.
So how do you take time to identify information you receive could be useful later or just white noise?
If I can think of an occasion where I might need to use that information again or need to refer back to the person that sent the information, I think about like, what would I search for that would trigger this to pop up, or why would I need this? And if I can think of a reason, then it might be useful information. But if I can't, then I just delete it or put it in, some kind of catch-all folder, like a miscellaneous folder, admin. Okay, so another example we talked about was finding people who know, whether it's know the thing that you're stuck on or might know somebody who knows someone, right? Everybody's got a guy that knows everybody that you can always go to for everything because they're so well connected. I feel like you're that person, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know everybody.
I know a few people.
What's the logic behind like taking a networking coffee, or when do you say yes to meeting somebody new? How do you know if somebody's useful to you when you first meet them?
I pay a lot of attention to my gut. It's never served me wrong. It takes me about 30 seconds to figure out whether or not we've got the same energy level, we're on the same wavelength. But it's also based on like what the purpose of what I'm doing right now is. I've never been approached for a coffee meeting for nothing. Like, hey, let's just go hang out. I mean, maybe with friends, but maybe once a year that happens. Usually or all the other times, it's, hey, this is what I do, or this is what you do. And I see that what they do, one, can teach me something that I think is useful for where I'm headed. Or people that I value their time think they're incredible. And if people that I value think they're incredible, I want to find out why. And then I'll take a coffee meeting.
I love that filter.
Because it's not all about what I get out of the situation, because then you're going to have very few coffee meetings. Because I have never sat down for coffee with somebody and walked away with something other than good knowledge or somebody cool to hang out with. I have never left with a sale, but it's always turned into something. Mm-hmm. But no, I think if you go on it with an open mind, and it's going to be real easy to be resourceful because people are going to value your time and you value theirs and their knowledge base. And then you're like, oh, well, I got a guy in real estate, or, I got a guy that does mortgages or whatever. Like, then it's easy to lean on other people.
Well, and it makes you valuable to everybody else involved. If you're introducing two people who really need to connect or could benefit from connecting, you now just became exponentially more valuable to each of them.
Yeah. Being the connector is powerful.
Yeah.
I think that's probably, out of the scenario of the three people involved in there, that's the most important one. That can see the value of each person independently, not be selfish, that you're not the one that's solving any problems for anybody, but you're connecting other people to solve problems with each other. I think that's really cool.
Well, and when you go meet somebody new or you learn about somebody, you think about like being at a networking event. You might not really have an interest in what that person does, but the next time someone's looking for that person, they need that resource, you're going to wish you had paid more attention. It also goes back to us being completely present when we're in conversations and thinking through things, because you don't know when you're going to need that person. You might not need a CPA yet, but wouldn't it be great if you made a mental note that, hey, Brittany is an awesome CPA. I can't tell you how many people I have referred either our website designer or my CPA to, because it's a sought after resource.
And even if you want to be really salesy about this conversation and think you want to get something out of each coffee meeting, you have to walk away with something. What a better way to be useful. There's no better way to be useful for your clients than to know as many people as possible, that do as many different things as possible. You can invest your time in a group of people that are different than you and have talents and skills different than you, that are running at a professional high level with that thing, then you're going to be extremely valuable to your current clients and future clients because you have a killer network. So you can even be really, commission breath about your coffee meetings and still get something from them, because at the end of the day, your knowledge base will be based on your basis of friends.
Your network.
Who do you have around you that you can trust and learn to or lean on? That's paramount.
Yeah. You might not need a divorce attorney right now, but maybe your buddy does.
Yeah.
In a week, and it'd be really helpful to have that contact in your back pocket. And then, not to mention, everybody's got stories. Everybody has something you can learn. And again, going back to our previous conversation with Rob, one of the things he brought up was learn from other people's mistakes. What a great way to be resourceful. They might not be a subject matter expert, but if they made a mistake about something and you can learn from their experience, what a way to shortcut failure.
Well, it goes back to you just don't know what question to ask. Well, if you're first in line, if you are cutting edge, if you are pushing the envelope, you're going to be presented with a lot of questions, right? Because you're going to have a lot of new space ahead of you. I worked for a small bank for a while. The CEO was an old federal guy, and his thought process was he always wanted to be third or fourth in line with new rollouts. And I thought, what a horrible thing. This is so ridiculous. I want to be number one. And his thought process was fascinating. It was, why don't I slow down, let the big guys with the big pocketbooks that can afford to make big mistakes make the mistakes, and I watch what they do and let 1, 2, 3, 4 banks do it. And then I'll step in fourth or fifth, and I don't have to have those mistakes. We don't have to spend money on reversing something or changing something. We just follow what works because they vetted it out for me.
Yep.
I think that's the whole concept behind resourcefulness.
Yeah. So how do you balance I'm going to stick it out by myself and figure this out versus I need to ask for help?
I have a great example of that.
Go ahead.
Today.
Yeah.
I go to the gym. I feel good. My body feels what I think is 100%. I step into the gym, and just setting up the sandbags to do the sandbag runs, my body started hurting. And then I thought, you know what? I'm just going to do it, man. I just got this, just pure willpower. And I felt like my forearms were going to be removed from my body when I was lifting the sandbag. And it's like, all right, I have now reached a realm of data from my body that I don't know how to process.
I know exactly how that feels every time I carry groceries in.
First off, when's the last time you carried the groceries in?
Yeah, I know. I can't even remember. It's back in the olden days.
Yeah, Oregon Trail, man.
Anyway.
So
forearms are falling off.
You have to be humble enough to understand you're out of your depth. It's only useful to be resourceful as in seeking knowledge you don't have. You can't be resourceful. It's not technically being resourceful if you're getting somebody to do shit you already know how to do. That's called laziness.
I think it's delegation if you're paying for it.
True.
Yeah.
True.
That's a smart decision sometimes.
Depending on the scenario, right?
Yeah.
Yes. But if, like the position I was in today, I just didn't know what to do. I tapped out my knowledge base on what I thought were the variables. So I had to reach out to somebody that knew more, that had spent more time in.
Yeah. So you felt like you didn't have any other options left. You had exhausted your options.
Yeah. I was out of my bandwidth.
Well, and I think it's important to note that what you do is so specific, right? Like your body is not a normal body. It's not like, oh, I have a tummy ache. I can't. You can Google what to do if you have a tummy ache. But this is such a specialized sport, and you're at such a specialized, unique position with your training and an upcoming competition, having come off of competition recently. So there were a lot of variables to this equation that made this specific incident more complex, right? That just simple Googling is not going to be able to find the answer to why are my forearms falling off? I am 1 month out of competition and 1 month away from competition. And
so it's not just forearms. I just feel like overall power production based on the data from my lifts was going down, and it should technically be going up. So the data of the forearms hurting was just like the straw that broke the camel's back. It was just, all right, this is one more variable that I could probably independently take care of, but because it's compounded with all these other ones, it's like, I think everything's in line. That was my exact coach to Andy today. Bro, everything is in line. I listed all of them, and I said, but my output's going down. What the fuck? And we had, a little bit of a conversation back and forth, and we landed on training intensity, or time in the gym per week, because that was his view from 30,000 feet with all of the knowledge behind it it sounds simple, but when you're in the mix, you need somebody that has the time in to be able to look at it and go, I know where you're headed. I've been there. I've been in the trenches where you are, and this is a way out of it because I see it, the bigger picture, more than you can. And I do this for a living. Like, I coach people on days off and recovery and mobility and all this other stuff. And here I am. I can't see the forest through the trees because it's my body and the expectations I have. So leaning on somebody that just has the time in, is invaluable.
Absolutely. We have to have people who challenge the way we think if we want to grow. Because the way we are currently thinking has got us to this point today. So if we want to go in a different direction, or we want to level up, or we want to advance, we may have to challenge some of our current beliefs if they're not constructive.
Yeah.
Like, any kind of negative thinking is not constructive. So I'll have people, if, let's say, I'm making assumptions about something. A lot of my good friends and coaches and a lot of people I'm friends with are into personal development. They'll challenge me on what assumptions I'm making that led me to think, what I think, if it's not productive or constructive, right? So we have to have people who are going to challenge the way we think about something.
I agree.
If we want to expand our perspective.
I think it's good too, because then you have to kind of battle back with why you think the way you think, and it's not just an arbitrary decision anymore. Like, if you challenge my thought process on training, I will be able to explain why I do it.
Yeah.
If I just create something arbitrarily, I will not be able to explain it.
Or you may realize this is just like how I was raised, or
yeah,
I've just always thought that.
Exactly. So I think it's interesting to take in other people's views of the way things are done, just challenge the way you think it should be completed. So let's talk a little bit about expanding your knowledge.
So you can't solve a problem with a new tool if you don't know about the new tool.
I love that.
So we have to have a pulse on what information's out there, what tools are out there, what the tools do. You don't have to fully understand it, but having like a rough idea of what Bitcoin is could be helpful. It could be also helpful to have a rough idea of what ChatGPT is and AI can do.
That's why I liked spending all that time on that website I had. I wasn't great at it. but I had far more knowledge of what I could expect and what could happen with a website when we were talking with Amanda.
Well, and the beauty part is now you know if we have to make tweaks to our website, and even though our website was built for us, if we have to make tweaks to it, you know how to do that.
Yeah.
Right? You've got that resource in your toolbox.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to make that process faster for us and more efficient.
Yeah. It's also cool once you kind of doodle around with stuff or noodle around with it, you find out whether or not you want to do it at all. Like that website, man, I will never do that again. It's too much data. It's too much information. It's too hard for me to figure out how to make it do what I want it to do. So I would much rather leverage somebody to do that for me.
Well, and I think it's important to evaluate if you are coming across a new tool, you have to think about what is this lift going to be? How difficult is it going to be to learn this new tool? Like I had discovered the Remarkable years ago. It's my virtual or electronic notebook that I carry around. And when I looked at it the first time, I was not in a headspace where I could even fathom learning a new tool. I had just implemented a note-taking process on OneNote. And so when that Remarkable was introduced to me, I was like, oh my God, I just made a change here. I just implemented a tool. I couldn't even wrap my head around it. Now I take that thing everywhere and I don't even use OneNote anymore. No diss on OneNote. It served me well for a while. Yeah. But the Remarkable is so easy. I love the way it feels. I'm not advertising for Remarkable, but it truly was a game changer for me. And I didn't even know that tool existed, 4 years ago. But once I learned a little bit more about it, I was like, okay, how can I incorporate this? How would I use it?
I mean, it's the same in the gym world. I don't know about certain machines or workouts that are out there, and then you expand your knowledge by talking to people and being resourceful, and all of a sudden you find out a new tool that's extremely beneficial. I mean, if you'd asked me when I first started about the things I know now, I would have been absolutely blown away because it's just one tool after the other, knowing what questions to ask and how to get there.
Well, and you're never going to learn about the tools if you don't talk to people about your problems. Like if you're stuck on a problem, this might be the most helpful thing you can do from a resourcefulness perspective is just talk to people in your network about just some basic challenges you're experiencing because they may have suggestions for you. I was talking with a colleague this morning over coffee and he's like, yeah, I want to learn how to play piano. I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure Mike Kelly has a company that does virtual piano lessons. Let me ask him. Sent him a text. He sent me the app to download and all the information, a link that I just forwarded right along. And then he emailed my friend a promo code to get all signed up for it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, how cool is that? I have zero interest in piano, but when Mike said I own several different companies and he told me what they were, like I made a mental note because I'm like, that's so random. But like, surely there's people out there that will want to learn how to play piano. So I archived that in my brain. And now, like years later, somebody mentions that they want to learn piano and now he has a resource.
Yeah.
He might not have known that existed. He actually did know it existed. He'd heard about it. But now this was just a solidification for him that this was a good path for him to go down.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to think, if I don't ever talk about what's going on in my life or in my business, I don't open the door for any recommendations or tools or resources to come in.
I haven't been presented with anybody that has ever told me no when I ask for help.
Same.
A legitimate, not cry for help, weeping in a corner, but hey, bud, I don't understand where I am right now, and it'd be really cool if I could just pick your brain for a minute. I want to be great like you. You've done something I haven't. How do I get there?
We actually get really happy neurochemicals when we help people. It's gratifying for the person who helps you.
Yeah. And when I've been asked for help, it's really humbling.
Yeah. You feel
really
flattered.
Cool. Yeah. It's neat to be able to give the knowledge that you received once and see it affect somebody else. I think that's really neat. To take in knowledge, do something with it, have it change your outcome, implement it fully, and then someone go, hey, man, how'd you get there? And you just get to pass that little nugget along again. That's really neat.
So I have a challenge for everybody. If there's something in your day-to-day or your business that is causing you frustration, I will challenge you to go find resources to help you with that challenge. Everybody's got something. We've all got some sort of point of frustration that we deal with or that we could improve, but we just don't know how. Go out and share your challenge with 1 to 3 people and see what kind of result you get.
And just be open-minded. They might give you information that is so overbearing or awkward or weird or not implementable, but you have some more data points of where not to go. So
Absolutely.
Each one are beneficial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And let us know how it went. Did it help you?
I would love to hear those stories.
Yeah. Talk to us. We're real people. We want to hear from you.
Hey, you could actually, if you wanted to, reach out to us. We would be more than happy to help.
Absolutely. Until next time.
Do it.
Thanks for listening to Redefining Resilience.
To learn more about building your mental and physical readiness, check out odysseyresilience.org.
And follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok.